Matthew 9. Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. And behold, some people brought to him a paralyzed man lying on a mat. Seeing their faith, Jesus said to the paralytic, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." At this, some of the scribes said to themselves, "This man blasphemes." But Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, "Why do you entertain evil in your hearts? Which is easier, to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and walk'? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." He then said to the paralytic, "Rise, take up your mat, and go home." And the man got up and went home. When the crowd saw this, they were filled with awe and glorified God, who had given such authority to men. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax booth. "Follow me," he told him. And Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was reclining at the table in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when Jesus heard this, he said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Then John's disciples came to him and asked, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus replied, "Can the wedding guests mourn while the bridegroom is with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins burst, the wine spills, and the wineskins are ruined. Instead, they pour new wine into fresh wineskins, and both are preserved." While he was saying these things, a synagogue leader came and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." Jesus rose and followed him, along with his disciples. Just then, a woman who had suffered from bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said, "your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed from that moment. When Jesus entered the synagogue leader's house and saw the flute players and the noisy crowd, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead but asleep." And they laughed at him. After the crowd had been sent outside, Jesus went in and took the girl by the hand, and she got up. News of this spread through all that region. As Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus asked, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" "Yes, Lord," they answered. Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith let it be done to you." And their eyes were opened. Jesus warned them sternly, "See that no one knows about this." But they went out and spread the news about him throughout that region. As they were leaving, a man who was mute and possessed by a demon was brought to Jesus. And when the demon had been driven out, the man who had been mute spoke. The crowds marveled and said, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "He drives out demons by the prince of demons." Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest."